Part 1 of Legends Festival introduced a lot of very strong units, from the new Tag Blue Boys to Beast Gohan, and with the release there has been a surprising amount of variety in the meta, so much so that doing a simple top 10 wouldn't be enough. Instead, we're gonna go over the top 5 best units in each color to see how strong each color is compared to each other, and at the end we can even see which color is currently the strongest and the weakest. So let's go. So as always, shout out to DNG for the tier list. He pretty much provides the tier list for everyone in the community, and I think everyone just simply uses this tier list. He has it up to date with everything, all the new units, as you can see with the last 4 releases, and he just does a great job in maintaining it and making it look as beautiful as possible. So shout out to him. Go follow him on Twitter, go subscribe to his YouTube channel. So as you can see, we have 5 tiers here: red, blue, yellow, purple, and green. So I'm going to be placing the units first in each of the tiers, and then I'll give my explanation on why I have these units set in these tiers. So let's just start off with red. So here we have the units. Now you're probably wondering why there's only 4 units. The 5th unit I wanted to add was actually Zenkai Janemba, but he's not in the list. I think the only units that are on the list are LF units, Ultra units, and 1% Sparking units. So these Zenkais are not on this list. Actually, no, there is Zenkai Green Goji. I guess Zenkai Janemba just didn't make the cut. I double checked and I couldn't find it. So I guess Zenkai Janemba didn't make the cut, but Zenkai Janemba would be my 5th option for red. Believe it or not, red was kind of hard because after Beast Gohan and UVB, it kind of falls off. Pan, I put because, you know, she's still used as a primary support unit, but Jason Birder, you don't really see them that often. And Zenkai Janemba also, you don't see them that often. So I just had to improvise and put a unit here. It doesn't really matter what you put in these last 2 units because red doesn't really have that much else. So you can add Hit if you want. This Gohan I've been using quite a lot, so you can add him. I don't think this Piccolo is used too often, so he's not gonna make the cut either. MUI could also make the list too, just since he has the unique gauge and stuff. But red, honestly, just strictly off this, like 2 units are really carrying this. And also, since we're not really doing a top 10, I'm gonna pretty much give who I think the best unit in the game is currently, and it's Transforming Beast Gohan. I don't think it's close between Evoken and Beast Gohan. I know a lot of people have them like, you know, 1A, 1B type stuff. And that's completely fine. Me personally, based off my experience, I think Beast Gohan is a lot better than him. Maybe not a lot better, but it's very clear that he's the #1 unit for me personally. That's why I've tried my best to use Evoken a lot more. Like these past couple of days, I've been using Evoken a lot more than Beast Gohan just to see if I'm like missing something. And they're good. Don't get me wrong. They're still very good, but I think Beast just does way too much there. So he's definitely the best unit in my opinion, followed by UVB, who's honestly, I would say you could argue he's top 5. I can see him being like at that number 5 spot. I think I would have like 17 at the number 5 spot, but UVB is still an absolute monster, and his team is just getting buffed with, you know, Pycon. You know, Fusion Warriors is actually really good. Do not sleep on Fusion Warriors. You know, VB, Pycon, and UGB is a very nasty setup there. So do not sleep on Fusion Warriors. VB, I feel like people might even underrate him. He's just very good. Obviously, I don't think he's like the best units. Like some people tend to overrate him. That's like not the case. He's not the best unit anymore, but he's still very good, and I love him. I love using him. So, and then the rest is very self-explanatory, right? So you got these Jason Birder. Like I said, he's just there because I couldn't find another unit. And then Zenkai Janemba. For a Zenkai unit, he's still very good. They've been doing an absolute crazy job with the Zenkais recently. So hopefully they continue that trend. But that's it for red. Let's move on to blue. So now we have the 5 units for the blue tier or blue typing, whatever. I use Revival Frieza in here as a placeholder because Go Frieza would be my pick for a 2nd spot in blue. But since we only have 1 icon for Go Frieza and he's also going to be going in purple, I use Revival Frieza. So keep that in mind. This represents Go Frieza. So we have Janemba, Go Frieza, 17, Namek Goku, and Sword of Hope Trunks. So now, I do think after 17, there is a significant drop-off. Namek Goku completely vanished. He's nowhere to be seen. Sword of Hope Trunks, you can even argue Sword of Hope Trunks over Namek Goku, just because Future is really good, and even Hybrid. Actually, no, I'm gonna put Sword of Hope Trunks in front because you don't really use Namek Goku that often. But Janemba, best blue unit by far. I mean, it's not by far because Go Frieza is still very good. I have Janemba over Go Frieza right now, so it would go like Beast Gohan, Janemba. And number 3 spot, it's extremely close between Go Frieza and Evoken for me. I might give it a slight edge to Go Frieza, but you know, having Evoken at number 3 also is completely fair. But this is my ranking. Go Frieza is still amazing. 17, seems to just be getting buffs nonstop, because with this new tag Evoken, his teams obviously has skyrocketed. 17 Evoken and the new Frieza, an absolutely crazy team there. We're getting you can even run Zenkai Jiren, who's actually pretty solid. I feel like people might underrate him because he's actually a very good tank. So this is going to be the lineup for Blue. Sword of Hope Trunks, like I was mentioning, prior to this release, his main team was Future, and Future was slowly starting to be on the decline, but it was still a very good team because you had UVB. Rose's kind of, you know, slowly getting power creep, so it was kind of losing steam there. And then Janemba was kind of like a quote-unquote, not really a counter to Sword of Hope Trunks, but he was able to, you know, pop his gauge without losing that key because he nullifies key reduction, right? So Sword of Hope Trunks was kind of slowly losing value, but I feel like with this Beast Gohan, he's certainly gained a lot of value, and because of that, that's why I would put him above Namek Goku. Namek Goku is still a very good unit, don't get it twisted, but he has been, you know, slowly on the decline, and I don't see anyone using him. You can honestly, like, probably throw in a couple other units to even fight for this number 5 spot, even number 4. Like, these two, you can argue some other units. For example, Beast Gohan's seen a lot of rise just because of the new Beast Gohan, so a double Beast Gohan setup is very good. I've even used it, and it actually does really good. Zamasu, you could still throw him in there, and he does some good stuff. Buu Duo is actually a sleeper hit. I feel like Buu Duo can kind of maybe fit in here because Vegeta Clan, believe it or not, got a lot of buff with this new Evoken. You can run Evoken, Buu Duo, and maybe Trunks and Vegeta or someone else. I think there was a third option. I forgot who it was that people run. Maybe it was Evoken. No, Trunks and Vegeta, sorry. Maybe it was. But that's still a very good team as well. Running all 3 of the tag units like that. And then obviously we have to remember that Buu Duo got their platinum, their unique equipment, which, you know, didn't really do much for them, but it's still a buff nonetheless. So, you know, that's something to keep in mind of. But for me, I think these 5 units, these 3 for sure, but the 2 last units can be very interchangeable. It's kind of similar to Red, where you have these 3 first units, mainly first 2, but it is what it is. It's these colors are pretty much top heavy when it comes to all the colors. We'll go through them once again, but the first 3 units are really the mainstay in the meta, and then the 2 others are kind of interchangeable. So next, let's move on to yellow. These are the 5 units I've picked for the yellow coloring. So we have Tag Gammas, the new Angel Golden Frieza, Fat Gotenks, Kid Buu, and Raccoon and Gildo, or Guldo and Raccoon, whatever the naming is. So Gammas obviously have to be the best yellow unit in the game. You know, Android is still very good with Purple Cell and 17, right? That's a very good team, and Blast-oriented teams are very good, especially against Janemba, who you seem to see pretty much every game, so that's really good. They've definitely taken a bit of a dive because of Beast Gohan, who's very prevalent in the meta, so he can incinerate the Gammas very easily. So there's that, but the Gammas are still very good, don't get it twisted. Angel Golden Frieza is also a very good sparking unit. I think people kind of consider him the best 1% sparking unit right now. He has really good, that disruption can catch you off guard. He gets a second ultimate, Vanish Restoration, and his blast damage does crazy damage. Like Uni Reps right now, the blast version of Uni Reps does so much blast damage. And since a lot of the meta teams are lacking in blast defense because you kind of prioritize strike defense a lot, the blast damage hurts very, very hard. So this guy's blast damage does a lot. His ultimate does really good damage, and so he's very good. Fat Gotenks, obviously, I would say he's a bit less than Frieza. He's still very good and fulfills his role very good as a tank unit, but he has certain, you know, quote-unquote flaws in his kit, in specifically, like, you know, the lack of ki on green card, the lack of health restoration on main ability, those small little things that, you know, a lot of units nowadays just should have regardless of what kind of type you are. So for him to not have that is kind of annoying, but, you know, people like to call him like a cover change merchant because you want to get that strike cover change so you can, you know, obscure your cards and all that stuff. But he's still very good, having endurance, and fits really well on Fusion Warriors, who is, like I said, a very good team, as well as hybrids with the new Beast Gohan and Beast Gohan, and you can run a third option like the other Beast Gohan or whatever the case may be. So he has really good units, really good teams he can fit on. You can even run him on movies with like Beast Gohan, Orange Piccolo, and stuff like that. That's a very solid team. You have a very strong damage dealer, revival, and an endurance. That's like a very good setup there. So he has a lot of really good teams. Kid Buu, I put him here because regen is still very strong. Like Janemba, Orange Piccolo, Kid Buu is still a very strong setup. Janemba, perfect sell. Kid Boo's a very strong setup, and despite maybe not many people using it anymore because you'd rather run Janemba on like movies, he's still a very good option. And whenever I use him, he just feels so damn good, man. That's why he need to make the cut here for sure. But I don't think there's really any other yellow units here that can really take his spot. If anything, the 5th spot is more interchangeable. I just threw in Raccoon and Gildo because I know they're a very tanky unit. Unfortunately, not many people have them high stars. Me, myself, don't have them, but I faced very high star Raccoon and Gildo, and they are stupidly tanky. But, you know, you can, like I said, interchange this unit with, for example, Future Gohan. The full power Frieza actually could go in because he got a Zenkai. Trunks and Vegeta got some buffs because of the new Vegeta clan buffs. Who else? I think there's another unit that was missing. Jiren, you could potentially toss him in there. Super Vegito, maybe you could toss. Zenkai Cell. Zenkai Cell is also very good. You know, you could argue Zenkai Cell over Guldo. That's actually a really good option there. But I think we're just gonna leave it at Guldo, just because. Do I want to actually? No, I'm gonna put Cell in because Android is a lot better than Frieza Force or Ginyu Force or whatever. So I'm gonna put Cell. Cell is actually a much better option to put there, and I feel like a lot of people have him more at higher stars than fully Zenkai, so that's a better option to put there. So for yellow, they have a lot of strong meta relevant units here, but if we're talking strictly top 10, only these 3, actually these 2. I don't think Gotenks makes the top 10. You can argue close to top 10, but not exactly top 10. But yellow has a really good lineup. They have a really solid lineup here. But, you know, Beast Gohan being in a lot of matches kind of hurts them a bit. So that's going to be it for yellow. Let's move on to purple. So these are the 5 units I have for purple. We have Go Frieza, LF Perfect Form Cell, Zenkai Jiren, UGB, and UI Sign. Now, I think Go Frieza pretty self-explanatory. He's, you know, they're still very, very good. I don't think they're #1 in the game anymore, but, you know, you can argue top 3 still. I think most people have them like top 4. I would argue potentially top 3, but it doesn't really matter. It's just, you know, one placement. Perfect Form Cell, like I said, Android's still a very good team, so he has to make the cut there. Zenkai Jiren is actually a very underrated unit. He's a very good tank unit, and he does a lot of blast damage. And Uni Reps, once again, is becoming a lot more blast oriented with Evo Ken, right? So Zenkai Jiren, Evo Ken, and 17, very nasty setup. And you're gonna have Topo in there, Zenkai Topo, that's going to help the team out a lot, just even as a Z ability or in a Zenkai buff for Evo Ken, or if you want, you can even use him. So that team is going to become even crazier with the new Zenkai Topo. And then UGB I added. I know maybe not many people would have UGB this high. Well, I mean, it's not really a top 10, but having UGB at all in the top 5 here in their respective color. But when you think of the purple units here, there's really not that many others that can really be put in this category. This Kid Goku can also go there. Ginyu can also go there, but I think these ones are a bit better here. UGB, like I said, he still works phenomenally well on Fusion Wars with Pikkon UVB, movies with the new Beast Gohan, Janemba. Like, UGB is aging so damn well right now. It's kind of crazy. He didn't get the UVB treatment where they just non-stop released a bunch of counters for him. It took like 4 months to drop an actual counter in the form of Kid Buu. But even with all that, he has a best friend in VB, and now another new best friend in Beast Gohan that can cover him from any yellow units. And he's just a great unit overall, right? And, you know, once that 120 timer counts hit, he still cooks. So having him at the #4 spot works perfectly fine there. He's just a very phenomenal unit there. And then for the #5 spot on the purple colors, I have UI Sign. Like I said, there was a bunch of other options I could have went with, such as, you know, Ginyu and Kid Goku. But ultimately, it came down to their team options, and then Uni Reps. Like I keep saying, Blast version Uni Reps, you can run them with 17. Evo Ken, like I keep repeating this, but it just works a lot better than any of the supposed teams that they would have. So that's why I have UI Sign there. But I'm not really opposed to anyone placing some of these units above him. But for me personally, I would have UI Sign at the #5 spot for purple. And if we look at purple as a whole, they're packing a lot of heat here. Like, you can argue 4 of these units in the top 10. I've seen 4 of these units in the top 10 in certain lists. For the most part, it's usually just these 3, but purple is looking very strong right now. So that's going to be it for all the purple units. Let us move on to the final color, and that's going to be green. So here is the 5 units we have in green. So it starts off with the Tag Evo Ken. Obviously, there have to be the #1 unit on this color. A lot of people consider him the best unit in the game. I would strongly disagree, but they're still very, very good. Easily the best green unit in the game right now. Followed by Revival Pikkon, or I guess Revival Super Gogeta. Very, very underrated unit, but a lot of people are starting to see how valuable they are. I keep saying their teams like Fusion War is very good. Movies, a lot of movies main I'm seeing right now would have this guy over Piccolo as their main green unit for movies, right? And they kind of fulfill this the same role. But ultimately, it comes down to their post-revival, and Gogeta just absolutely slams. But even pre-revival, I think Pikkon is just absolutely, like, outright better than Orange Piccolo or Power Awakening Piccolo. Like, the green card spams that he has is crazy. He does a lot of damage, like, not gonna lie. Pre-revival, long-range blue card works very well against Janemba. It's not a melee-based green card, so that's, like, obviously a plus because Janemba is so meta-relevant. But I think Revival Pikkon is just absolutely clear of Orange Piccolo. His platinum equipment didn't really help him that much. It was a slight help to him, but not enough to overcome the gap between them. So we have Gogeta here. I would even have him in the top 10, like around like 7 even in the top 10. So Revival Pikkon / Super Gogeta, absolutely amazing addition. You know, they got a lot of flack early on in the release, but with the new releases like Beast Gohan, he works very, very well. So Orange Piccolo, you know, similar deal. He got buffed with Superhero Beast Gohan, and he runs on region as well with Janemba or just simply movies. So he has a lot of nice team variety there. Now after this is where it falls off a bit. I have Ultra Rose, but you can potentially argue this Gohan above Rose just because this Gohan works very well with this Beast Gohan. He's a very good tank option, and he's able to eat a lot of hits for Gohan to start filling up his gauge, right? So he works pretty well. Rose is, you can really feel Rose has been power creep. Like, you have to remember that he released back in March, I believe. So, you know, he can definitely feel the effects of power creep. He's not as crazy aging as UGB, but, you know, he's still a very solid option for future when you're running, you know, sort of Hope Trunks, UVB, and stuff like that. But you can argue Gohan over him. I'll still have the slight edge to Rose just because he's still very good. And outside of like the tanking aspect, Gohan is not going to be doing that much. I mean, yeah, he has Advanced Restoration. He can do decent damage, but I think everything else outside of the tanking, you have Rose to kind of fulfill that role. But I think Gohan fulfills his role better than Rose fulfills his role. So maybe I would have Gohan above him. This is very close. I really doesn't matter where you would have either one of them. But other options you can toss in here because these two options are, you know, interchangeable. Rev UI was going to make the cut, but I didn't add him there because Tag Evoken basically replaces Rev UI on all his teams. Like, you can obviously run a green-yellow setup with like the new Frieza, or you can run like green-red or something. I don't know who the red unit would be, but you can run that. But ultimately, you're just going to end up running the Tag Evoken over Rev UI, right? So he kind of takes a backseat to them. So that's why he didn't make the cut for the top 5 green units. But other than that, you know, you can obviously add like this Rakumen Gildo. Who else? This Goku is a very underrated tank unit, especially with all the new equipments for Dragon Ball Saga. So that's something. Tag Force can make the list. Zenkai Green Gogeta can make the list too. He's very strong. Dragon Fist with his plat can do some numbers. So there's a bunch of options you can add as like the 4th, 5th spot for green. But ultimately, it came to this. And I think I'm pretty happy with the results of the green unit. So that's going to be pretty much all of them. Don't forget Zenkai Red Janemba goes here. But if we take a look at these color overall, it's kind of tough here. Right off the bat, I think red might be the one that's least dominant just because they have 2 red units. But if we take, it's tough because those 2 red units are like super strong, right? They're like 2 of the top 5 units. You could argue that with blue. You could maybe argue, no, not purple. Purple has overall the more meta relevant units. Damn, this is tough. This is what I mean when I say like a top 10 is not enough, because these colors are fairly balanced in their aspect. Like, all these units you see in the meta consistently all these, like, this is, so like that's what I mean, like when I say like the meta is very diverse. You can run movies, you can run fusions, you can run uni reps, you can run regen, you can run androids. There's so many different options you can run, and they can all compete very well in the top ranks. So when you look at these colors, I would say they're pretty evenly balanced right now. So that's actually a good thing, right? That's a good thing. But I think we're just going to end it off with that. Let me know if you guys agree or disagree with this list, what you guys would change. Who do you guys think is the best unit in the game currently? What's your top 5? Anything of the sorts when it comes to ranking these units, let me know in the comments below. I'm very interested to know what you guys have to say. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like and don't forget to subscribe. That's so important, so don't forget. Have a great day. See ya.